Well, I think we'll get going to be on time here. I'll start off with an introduction, and then I want to hand it off to the rest of the sustainability team for Local First Arizona to introduce themselves. And we could quickly go around and everyone can name your business or organization or who you're working with or anything else you want to add about why you're here today. That would be great. So I'm Mike Peel. I'm the statewide sustainability director for Local First Arizona, and I am really excited about Scale Up and the Southern Arizona Green Business Alliance and the Arizona Green Business Certification Program and all of the programs that we've got going across the state that we will cover briefly today at the end as well, if you're not aware. But today is about Scale Up. It's about our more advanced program planning and project planning efforts that we do. And so we will talk about that today, and I will get into more details in a minute here. And I'm going to hand it to Claire, our Southern Arizona Sustainability Program Manager, to introduce herself.
Hi, I'm, as Mike said, Claire, the Southern Arizona Sustainability Program Manager for Local First. Really taking the lead on Scale Up, even though it has expanded to be statewide. So even if you're a Phoenix-based business, I'm really excited to be working with businesses across the state through Scale Up, and excited to share more about the programs. And I'll hand it to Kelly.
Hi there, my name is Kelly Liska, and I'm an AmeriCorps Public Ally. I've been placed with Local First Arizona with their sustainability team, Mike and Claire, specifically working on the Green Leaders program, but also supporting the Scale Up program. And yeah, I'll be playing a supporting role and answering any questions in the chat that I can. And it's nice to see you all.
Okay, can you do a quick intro?
Did you say Katie?
Jake, and then Katie.
Jake, okay.
Hi guys, my name is Jake. Some of you might know me from the past. I have been on the sustainability team for about 2.5 years now, and I used to do a lot of the events and just trying to get businesses who are engaged in sustainability in front of consumers and talking to them about what they're doing and why. And I am a supporter and person who helps out with the Scale Up here and there.
Katie. Okay, I'm Katie Murphy-Darling, and I am a member of the Mrs. Green's World team.
You could just keep popcorning people. Whoever speaks last, popcorn someone else.
Gina?
I'm Gina Murphy-Darling, and I am a member of the Mrs. Green's World team as well. Anna.
Hi, I'm Jana Siegel-Stormont, and I'm with Sustainable Tucson on the charitable and faith-based sustainability committee that's going to reach out to churches and tell them the benefits of putting sustainable features like rainwater harvesting and solar on their properties, as well as the Zero Plastic Waste team. And Donna?
Okay, I'm figuring it out. I'm Donna. Lannon. I'm here in Tucson, and I have a photography business called Genuine Photography, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the information is here. I'm trying to upscale my own business. So, hi everyone.
Go next.
Claire? Hello?
David?
Yeah, this is David. I don't know if I'm on or not, but I'll talk. David Schaller, and friend of Local First Arizona. Met Mike a bit ago and been working with him recently. Retired environmental scientist with the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. And I live in Tucson, my hometown. I worked though a lot of different places, and I had the chance to start the EPA sustainability program back in the early 90s and turn that into a national effort that went for quite a while until probably just recently.
Andres, you want to go next?
Yeah, hi, my name is Andres Ruiz. I'm a motivational speaker and coach, and my company is I Believe in Myself. And right now I'm on a mission to help raise awareness and consciousness in the world so that, you know, I can, ultimately my life's purpose is to save lives with just raising awareness for our youth, especially right now. There's a lot of things going on with mental illness, substance abuse, and suicide. So I'm on a mission to help our youth, which is our future, so we can have a brighter future.
Thanks. Sarah?
Oh, okay, sure. Hi, I'm Sarah. I am founder of a new organization called Humanity Hub Network, and we're a really excited new local organization. And I'm here to find out more about Scale Up and this new cohort, and maybe participating, if not in this one, but one in the future, for sure. Thank you so much.
Marcia?
Hi, everyone. My name is Marcia Karasek. I'm in Phoenix. I have an early stage company in industrial hemp on construction materials, and it's a very large undertaking. I have a small team of people, but we're really trying to get this industry started here. It started with CBD, but we feel that there's a lot of impact for rural economic development between the growing and the processing. And then I'm starting sort of with the end in mind, creating some modeling software for what's called building information modeling with natural materials, starting with hemp, so that architects and developers and construction companies can actually produce a drawing set with a industrial hemp lime construction method and materials, and know what the cost is going to be, and really try to enable the industry, and therefore the farmers can get contracts to grow it, and then we can start processing. But we're starting with a transitional supply chain, so it's a very long-term endeavor. But industrial hemp is amazing construction material, and like carbon, like climate positive, carbon negative. It's kind of hard to describe, but it sequesters a lot of carbon, and if it's produced locally, it's very economical. So we're focused on affordable housing.
Cool. Thanks. Sean? Sorry.
Hi, I'm Sean Saram. I'm the founder of Advantage. We're a local startup here in Scottsdale. We're a software platform that connects local businesses with highly skilled local influencers and and freelancers and creatives. And essentially, it's a place where they barter and trade their services on the platform. So there's a trade transaction type things that happen. So we've grown to about 1,200 local businesses here in Arizona, and always been a huge fan of Local First Arizona and their value and what they stand for. And just love the team out there, Thomas and everyone. And I'm just excited to learn what the sustainability is about today and the scale up. So thanks for the invite.
Thanks. Mary Beth?
Hi, I'm in Tucson. I've just been here for a couple of weeks now. I've actually lived here for several years, but the past few years I've been living in Qatar, where I was involved with a group called Sustainable Qatar. And so when I came here, I found Sustainable Tucson, and I'm just getting my feet wet and finding out what's here. And so I was really happy to see this and excited to learn about you.
Thanks. We have another Sarah.
Hi, it's Sarah from Downtown Phoenix Farmers Market. We always love to know what sustainability projects are going on and meet other community partners from around the state and region. So we're excited to be here and learn more about Scale Up. We always are encouraging our businesses to think about how they can adapt and become more sustainable, as well as our own practices. So I know this will be really wonderful information to receive.
Thanks. Emmanuel?
Hello, everyone. First of all, I'd like to express gratitude to the ancestors that have cared for the land and the water where we live here in the Sonoran Desert. My name is Emmanuel. My family calls me Emma. I am part of the Tucson Rainwater Harvesting Co-op. We are a young cooperative that focuses on rainwater harvesting, both active and passive, and regenerative landscapes. And we are not yet to scale up, but I'm here to hopefully start visioning and manifesting it. Thank you.
Thanks. Cleo? I think she might be connecting to audio. So we could jump to Paula and then Cleo after.
Hi, I'm Paula Sussberg. I'm with Sustainable Tucson. I could put my video on actually, so I show up, maybe. And I'm also the chair of Envision Tucson Sustainable Festival. This will be our 9th year, and while we had great plans to be back in Armory Park, I think we're going to be looking at how to do an exciting festival virtually so that we can do it safely for everyone and get as many folks involved as possible. And Sustainable Tucson has been really lucky to be continuing with our monthly meetings that are also virtual. So you can go to our website, sustainabletucson.org, or our Facebook page and check them out. It's the second Tuesday of every month. And we look forward to seeing some of you at those. We've been involved with Local First for a long time. In fact, I was involved with Local First before it really came down to Southern Arizona, and it's exciting to see just how wonderful the work has been and how broadly it's developed. Thank you.
Now, Cleo, I saw you for a second.
Sandra, can you introduce yourself?
Of course, thank you. Hello, Sandra Bernal. I am an instructional specialist at the University of Arizona in the Department of Classics, as well as a lecturer at the School of Architecture. I've been a long-term supporter of Local First and all the green initiatives in Arizona, including the USGBC. I am part of the USGBC Board of Directors, Board of Volunteers here for the state. So I am here to support in every capability that I have in the learning process and the sharing process as well.
And we have someone that's user.
That might be me, Kevin Green, and I just joined Sustainable Tucson's Zero Plastics Waste Committee. My wife and I just moved to Tucson several months ago. I'm originally from Springfield, Illinois, and I retired from the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency, worked there for 20 plus years and helped work on a green government initiative and a green university initiative and some other pollution prevention related programs.
All right, well, I think we can get started, and then Cleo, if your mic turns on at some point, or you could just type into the chat, say hi to everyone. We're excited you're here.
Okay, well then I'm going to get started with the background on how we even got to this point. So Scale Up is, I think, a way to bring all of our goals of sustainability as a team to life. It's been an iterative process, And I'll talk about that in a minute, but first wanted to highlight the goals of what we do as a team with sustainability at Local First. We're focused on goals such as reducing operating costs for businesses, with saving on utilities, and particularly focused on deep strategies with energy and water and waste and carbon emissions reductions. And then educating the public as well as our business network about how they can make a difference on the day-to-day, and then also through collaboration, which is a big part of what Scale Up's about. And ultimately preparing for a future where we are in harmony with the environment, where we are taking climate action, and we are creating a green economy. So with Scale Up, the approach, it really became a bigger endeavor as it was iterative, as we kept going further and further with it. It started back when I was working at Pima Community College, working with the EPA. I was fortunate to work with a team at the EPA that was willing to pilot a building performance course with the Tucson students there. And we were one of the 3 sites selected to create a pilot program course around how to create a structure for building performance and helping businesses save on energy. And so we started there, and then I kept going with it and working with more community leaders and figuring out how we could collaborate to create our own curriculum based on best practices from the EPA and local expertise. And that's where Scale Up started to become something much bigger. And in 2018, we piloted that program, and we're able to get a lot of traction with the businesses involved, to the point where some have been able to save hundreds to thousands of dollars a month, having planned through the program, put a plan together as a one-stop shop. The idea is that by going through this program, you're going through a platform where you'll be able to plan a project or projects, work with others in the cohort to learn from each other, and ultimately implement those projects by getting access to low interest financing and other incentives and resources. So it becomes a truly one-stop shop or platform, but mostly it's about collaboration. The way we were able to get so far with it was by collaborating, and that's where we're here today to talk to you about what we're going to be doing virtually to keep that program model going and the spirit of it alive and well. So I wanted to also provide some context around how critical all these efforts are. I know I'm probably preaching to the green choir here, but I think some of these stats are critical to know about for Arizona in particular, how much of the state is thinking along these lines and how much more we have to go with our work. With global warming happening, 67% of the state is in that camp, thinking that it's got to be a big action taken in the community. And then the risk perceptions, they're worried about it, 60%. And this is all public opinion data from Yale Climate Opinion Maps. The next slide, please. Thanks. And then this one's really interesting around what did the public thinks in Arizona about what we should do about global warming. And interestingly, if you look at the percentages of all of these corporations being the highest in terms of what the public thinks the action areas need to be prioritized by. And then environmental protection being looked at as more important than economic growth. And then for Pima County in particular, and then Maricopa County, looking at how far we have to go, if we get to the point where we need to be, where scientists have all, I think you're aware, made clear that we have to get to that limit to 2 degrees Celsius and not go beyond that. If we get to bold action, this is where we're going to be. We're going to be at extreme heat limited to 67 days per year in Pima County, and in Maricopa County, 89 days per year. This is based on the Union of Concerned Scientists Killer Heat Index. And if you look at the historical trends, it's a big problem. It's a crisis, really. It's a climate action opportunity and a climate crisis, both at the same time. So next slide, please. Thanks. And then the opportunity for the public to be involved more. I think that if you look at it from the standpoint of attracting more employees who are going to be engaged with your efforts, and also attracting more customers who are going to be engaging with you because of these efforts, there's a big opportunity here based on the interest for those who prefer to purchase products and services from companies that stand for a purpose, that reflect their own values and beliefs. and avoiding companies that don't. Purchasing decisions being based on good quality ingredients and treating employees well, focusing on reducing plastics and improving the environment, and expecting companies to continue efforts around social and environmental issues even after the pandemic. Looking at the trends with Gen Z, millennial, and the general population. Also that millennials consider a company's social and environmental commitments when deciding where to work, and will take a pay cut to work for a socially responsible company. That resonates with me. And then saying their job is more fulfilling when they are provided opportunities to make a positive impact on social and environmental issues. So there's a lot here to think through for the why, in addition to the climate crisis unfolding. So ultimately, Scale Up is meant to be this unique opportunity to go from sustainability education and collaboration to project planning, financing, and implementation, all in one accessible package. And our team has envisioned, will re-envision it to be the same approach in a lot of ways, but to be adapting with the times, to be also focused on resiliency planning and equity and environmental justice planning opportunities as well, and to be thinking about that continued collaboration as first and foremost the heart of the program. So I'm going to hand it to Claire now to talk about the, and then real quick here, this is the first cohort that we had involved with Scale Up, and this was all based out of Tucson. I'm glad that we can be virtual and open it up to anybody who wants to join right now. We want to meet the needs wherever they are in the state. So that's where we are currently.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, so I want to start by just highlighting some of the success stories from Scale Up in 2018. This is when Delectables, Donna from Delectables came out with Scale Up with a plan to reduce her heating and cooling needs, or costs, reducing her utility costs, particularly water and energy, and increasing her awareness of the property needs in the common areas requiring repair. And she's one of the examples that Mike mentioned of people who've saved a lot of money, gotten increasing exposure to customers because of her commitment to sustainability, and also has employees that are really excited to work with her because of her socially conscious mission. Here's another example. Sonoran Glass School was part of Scale Up, and they were looking for a way to reuse their glass that they used in their glass blowing classes. And another participant in Scale Up was PopCycle, and PopCycle sells stuff from Bottle Rocket. Bottle Rocket is a company in Tucson that makes candles and counters and other products out of recycled glass. And so by connecting through Scale Up, Sonoran Glass School was able to send over 100 pounds of glass every week from their glass school to putting it to use in concrete products, including countertops, planters, candles, and pet bowls with Bottle Rocket. So with those examples and ideas in mind, Scale Up 2020, as compared to Scale Up 2018, which was a all in-person class in Tucson, Scale Up 2020 is open to businesses in the Tucson metro area and the Phoenix metro area. We're pretty vague about those lines, so if there's someone who's interested that's like somewhat close to the two metro areas, they're welcome to contact us. There will be 4 cohorts for Scale Up, the first one starting August 11th, and the cohorts will be 7 weeks each, and they will go over different sustainability topics in depth, led by different facilitators, and there will be a meeting each week virtually. So we're really excited developing this program, using all the best practices we learned from Scale Up 2018 and figuring out how to deliver it in an engaging way for this year, and we're really excited. The concept, it will be the flipped classroom concept, where we'll give pre-recorded videos and some homework to do at home, but then the 1 hour discussion each week over the 7 weeks is really meant to get to know the rest of your cohort and ask questions from the experts, and basically let Scale Up be a personal consultant to you as you develop this sustainability project, and get ideas and just learn a lot more, expand your depth of knowledge around concrete sustainability actions you can take for your business. So the goal of Scale Up is that by the end of the 7 weeks, each business will have completed a Scale Up sustainability plan, and that sustainability plan has one or more actionable projects that lead to at least a 10% reduction in 1 year, and that's a 10% reduction in energy, water, or waste, or transportation emissions. Also, as I go through this, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, but we'll also have a time for questions at the end too. So why Scale Up? Scale Up is, at its core, it's a program to help do sustainable project planning and implementation. We are working on a whole bunch of exciting benefits and connections for greater sustainability projects. So basically, the bigger you go, the more we're able to support in different ways. So Scale Up goes from learning about sustainability, learning to track how much energy you're using, how much water you're using, how much waste you're throwing away, collaborating with other businesses like the Sonoran Glass School and the Bottle Rocket example from before, planning for specific sustainability projects that have an equity component, and in many cases also save money. And so here, there are we've talked to lots of businesses who are interested in Scale Up, and the projects range from installing EV charging, installing solar, doing a building retrofit, installing rainwater harvesting, but they could also be like reorienting your business to be an online delivery of a service in a sustainable way. We want to make this a way for businesses that are dealing with the impacts of COVID-19 to have a space to really think through how to reorient their business and implement something sustainable that's good for the community, good for the business. And we also are wanting to make sure that each project has an equity component. So what that might mean is like thinking about who you're contracting with for the building retrofit. Are you working with a local company? Are you working with a cooperative like Tucson Rainwater Co-op? Do you have materials that explain what the project is, why it's important, why it's cool that you have solar in English and Spanish? Do you have that material on the website? So things like that, and we'll work through that all together.
Also want to add that nonprofits are definitely encouraged to be part of this program, and that collaboration piece is really ideal whenever we can see projects get linked within the cohort. That's an ideal outcome. Not required, but definitely something we'd like to see happen more.
Thanks. Yeah, and then another point to mention is the resiliency aspect. Like I mentioned, using this as a way to retool your business plan or put into motion a project you've been planning. But it's also a way to think about resiliency in terms of your business plan. So as Mike shared with those slides on extreme heat, we want as a goal of Local First Sustainability, we want to help businesses and nonprofits help their community by reducing carbon emissions, but also be able to adapt to the inevitable effects of climate change, which are going to be likely focused on extreme heat and drought. And so making sure that every business that is thinking through sustainability is also thinking through resiliency and being prepared for different times of crises like the one we're living in now. So fourth, we have part of Scale Up is that we're helping to finance the projects. Right now we have a low interest revolving loan fund called the Green Community Fund. Currently it's only open to businesses in Tucson, but very soon I think we should have information on opening it up to Phoenix-based businesses. And one point to emphasize here is even if you are in the first cohort and you're in Phoenix, you'll be able to access the revolving loan fund as soon as it's open to Phoenix-based businesses, even if it's after your cohort ends. And so the Green Revolving Loan Fund is just a way to take out a low interest, no to low interest loan for your project. And then once you pay it back, you're basically putting it back in the pot, and that money's then available to other businesses and nonprofits that want to implement sustainability projects. Then the fifth part is to implement the projects. And once you implement the projects, we want to give you recognition. So we want to post about you on Local First. We want to share your success story and help other businesses learn to do what you were able to do. And then the seventh one is rebuild. So why Scale Up? Essentially, it's during COVID to rebuild with an emphasis on equity and sustainability, and be able to attract customers, engage employees, and be a strong community partner, which you all already are by the nature of being interested in these programs and by being here. So this is the structure of Scale Up. It's a 7-week class, as I said. Each week will be a different facilitator, expert facilitator. We have one with us, or two with us today, because Mike is going to present the first part, and then Gina is going to present the second part, Culture of Sustainability. We have some great facilitators from both the Tucson and Phoenix area presenting on energy, water, transportation, and waste. And then the 7th week will be an overview of everything that we learned, and also a time for everyone to present on their sustainability plans. So who can apply? Number one is you have to be a Local First Arizona member. If you're not already, we can definitely help you get there. You have to be located in the Tucson or Phoenix metro area. Again, as I said, those lines are vague, so if you're interested and you're not sure, you're probably fine. You have to rent or own your facility. Basically, home-based businesses are not eligible at this point, but we do have other programs, other sustainability programs that are eligible for home-based businesses, which I'll share in a minute. You should come into Scale Up with an initial project idea that addresses sustainability and resiliency. That'll be on the application on our website, and this idea can totally change. Maybe you go into it wanting to install LEDs, but in it you learn about really cool stuff about rainwater harvesting and gray water irrigation, and you decide you want that to be your Scale Up project and LED lights come later. That's totally fine, but we just want people to be thinking about projects and having an idea of things they can do. And then a commitment to participate in the entire Scale Up series and to follow up as their projects progress.
So based on hearing from Jana, for example, we can be creative with what that means about facilities being involved. If you're planning to work with a church, like you mentioned, I think that would be a fit. So what we want to make sure of is that there's a building to work with and the surrounding area with it to apply all the great resources that we have for planning for these bigger goals.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think there's a difference between, there are some businesses that, most businesses now are pretty spread out in terms of employees working from home, but in general, even if it's a home-based business, having a place where most people having a facility that can be updated and retrofitted. And the other point here is that we are recommending to do the introductory certification programs first, or at least get started with them. It's not a requirement, but we do have a green business certification program in Phoenix, and we have one in Tucson, which I'll talk about in a minute. Cool. So this is the scale up investment. We're also open to conversation and discounts, but it's based on the number of locations and the square footage. And it includes the access to the Green Revolving Fund and our support and the support of different experts, throughout the community that we're working with to help implement these projects. And then there are discounts for businesses that go through the Green Business Certification or are in it. They don't have to be finished with it, and nonprofits. Then the green, this is a little bit what I described about the Green Community Fund process. The whole idea of paying it back to pay it forward, putting money, taking out money to do your project. Most projects will generate cost savings in the form of water savings or energy savings or waste transportation. And so the idea is that you'll be able to pay back the project, hopefully with the savings that you generate from the project, and then those funds will go towards executing other projects in the community through other people going through Scale Up. So the green business programs I was referring to, this is the one that's up in the, is in Phoenix, Tempe, and Mesa. And it's a certification program open to local businesses and nonprofits that goes through a bunch of topics that that then certifies you as a green business. Scale Up is also part of the Southern Arizona Green Business Alliance. If you were on our first webinar like 2 months ago, maybe, you probably heard more about it, but the Southern Arizona Green Business Alliance is led by Local First in partnership with the 2030 District. And there are 3 programs in the Southern Arizona Green Business Alliance. There's Green Leaders, which is the introductory certification program for Southern Arizona green businesses. And the second one is Scale Up. So Scale Up is what obviously we're talking about, and it's not just a program of the Green Business Alliance, as it is open to Phoenix-based businesses. It's a program of Local First, but it's part of the framework of the Alliance. And then there's the Tucson 2030 District, which is a more advanced program for businesses that want to commit to a 50% reduction in energy, waste, and water, or energy, water, and transportation use. Here's a little preview of the Southern Arizona Green Leaders checklist, the certification program. Again, this isn't part of Scale Up, but we do pull from content in this checklist. And for anyone interested in being excited about Scale Up, but wanting to take a smaller step first instead of before jumping into a sustainable project planning workshop series, there's the Green Leaders program and then the Arizona Green Business Certification.
I wanted to give a quick preview of the additional program that's going to be rolled out in about 2 months' time, similar to how we've been rolling out these programs to be virtual with Green Leaders and the certification program, and now Scale Up, ensuring that there's more support for project planning. So Scale Up is meant to be more of the intermediate to advanced program. And this program here with the Tucson 2030 District, one of our partners with the Alliance, is the Green Champion program and meant to be for the most advanced projects. So it's actually a national initiative that's part of a U.S. network of cities that has united around this goal of reducing energy use, water use, and transportation emissions by 50% by 2030, which is a big goal and definitely needed to be met. So the district efforts are focused on providing, similar to the way the other programs are structured, collaboration, assistance with the technical assistance, free and discounted resources, and special financing programs. And together, we're working on how we can create soon here additional incentives for both Scale Up and the participants that go on with Green Champion or who go directly into Green Champion. And that will include, I think, a mix of grants, small grants to maybe larger grants based on performance goals being met. So you'll be hearing more about that as you enter into the programs and learn more about the structure of the financing first, and then to know what additional incentives we're going to provide as well. So the goal is to scale up and to encourage or incentivize as much of a goal-setting plan that you can put in place. So if you can start with 10%, that's where we want you to be. But if you can get to 50%, that's ultimately what we're aiming for here. And the more we can help you set those goals and get there and make it easier for you financially, that's what we're aiming to do. So a lot of exciting incentives in the works that we will be able to reveal soon. And then quickly around the current 2030 district, we just wanted to be showing you the map for today of what this looks like and how you're essentially part of those bigger goals by participating in a program like Scale Up. You're part of the district, which is now 23.9 million gross square feet of floor area and has 13.4 million square feet of property owner building area participating, including commitments from the University of Arizona, Pima County, and City of Tucson pledging to the goals right now. And ideally we'll be acting on those goals more and more over the years. So we have 10 years to figure it out. And right now, one more point on the previous slide, just wanted to highlight that the idea here is if you're going through it, whether it be Green Leaders or in Phoenix, the Arizona Green Business Certification Program, we recommend it if you want to get more details ahead of going into Scale Up around what kind of projects you could take on. And then Scale Up's there to get that project planned out, or more than one project. And the 2030 district's there to keep going and to aim for more performance goals to be met. So that's how we've structured this right now. And for those in Phoenix, there's plans in the works for a Phoenix 2030 district. So we've inspired the mayor's office and others over there to be involved in planning for a similar district. And so excited to let you all know that we're planning for this across the state. And one more point I want to make is on what this means if you're a business going through all of these programs or one of these programs. We encourage you to consider going through over time all of them if you can. With Hotel Congress, they're planning to go through all three. Already they've been active with sustainability, very active with sustainability with green teams, with Mrs. Green's World, solar hot water, water conservation with EcoBlue, the One Less Straw Initiative, compost and master recycling, compostable containers. And now they're wanting to emphasize local food distribution as a project and potentially electric vehicle work and creating a demonstration site there. So there's a lot in the works. It's exciting to see them think big about how they can go through all three as a pathway. So now we're right on time for Q&A.
If anyone has questions, they can either type them or just unmute yourself and ask them. I know there was a lot of information, but we're really excited about these programs. We know it's a really challenging time for businesses, and we we are looking at Scale Up as a way to really be supportive towards businesses that are trying to rebuild or shift their business models or make new connections during this time, or even just save money and gain exposure.
Also, if anybody has any ideas that they want to get out there now, we'd love to hear. If there's anything you're initially considering that we could help start to think through with you. Anybody want to share any initial ideas?
I kind of have a question. Maybe it leads to an idea. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. You mentioned something about the, home-based or remote-based type businesses. There's some way they can participate. So for us, we're a software platform, and all of our members, we have about 1,300 Arizona local businesses. And there are some that are brick and mortar, but there are also some that are freelancers or remote based. I guess as a community, since we have that, how can we either participate or contribute? Any ideas how that type of community can participate so we can promote that to our members?
Sure. Well, there are, I think, a few strategies we could take. We could present to another group about the programs. We're definitely open to that anytime. We're also exploring how to work with cohorts, almost like a focused cohort on a particular industry or group that's focused on a particular advocacy effort or something related to the sustainability world. So thinking through that, it's new for us to be going into that territory. We've been more about the projects and exploring all of them at once as potential projects rather than focused on one area of the economy. But we are open to working with a group that wants to focus just on one area and think through how we would structure the materials accordingly.
As an example, we were talking to a group of food businesses about going through the programs and then being like the green food cohort or something like that. And it could be something similar for any industry really. And so I think, that would definitely, I think we should talk more about how that works with freelancers versus brick and mortars. But we can set up a call and talk more about that.
Okay. Yeah, it's just because what we found out, what we're finding is a lot of our even typical small businesses like gyms and fitness, they're pivoting and they're offering a lot of virtual and online classes versus in person. And in essence, that's kind of sort of a greener version of the service they deliver. So yeah, would love to have a chat later on.
We encourage everyone to go through for the benefit of the way it's structured now to get all of the ideas in place and be maybe inspired to go with a more holistic project as a result. That would be an ideal outcome if the project was more holistic than might have been considered at the outset. However, we do want to work collaboratively with ideas. So if there's a very concrete idea coming into the program and we need to figure out continuing education sessions to support that project to be focused on one particular area of the green economy, we want to do that. So something to consider is that we will be open to ideas from the group around continuing education to enhance what we've already put in place with the curriculum.
Great, thank you.
Jana has a comment. Oh, Jana, do you have anything you wanted to add about the program or the project?
Actually, that was a private comment to you, but
I see that. Well, we could set up a meeting to talk about that. I didn't see that at first.
Right, but I actually have a different question. So you had suggested that I come on here today regarding our, our charitable and faith-based sustainability group. Essentially, we're going to be reaching out to faith-based groups and, asking them, showing the benefits of having, rainwater harvesting or solar on their property. But we would also like to offer, them like ideas on how to get funding. So I don't know if that's part of the program. It's actually Danielle that runs this group. But are there some opportunities that we can just recommend to the faith-based groups on how they could pay for their sustainability features?
I think so. I think we should set up a meeting about that. That's definitely a tailored approach we could take, like we were talking about earlier. If there's that kind of concrete idea already, then we'll figure out how to match it with the program resources and model that we have. I think that would be great. And the fact that we have the Community Investment Corporation involved, I think there's a lot of options that we could set up. So I would love to talk further.
All right, thank you.
And the Green Community Fund, it's 0 to 5% interest, so it could be 0. There's some different specifications for the revolving fund. But if a business does want to go through Scale Up, then they would have access to that Green Community Fund. And a faith-based organization could go through Scale Up.
Good questions. Well, we got a few more minutes here. Any other questions before we wrap up today?
The only question I had, and I apologize if you already said this, do you have, do you know how many people are enrolled so far in the program in Scale Up?
Yeah, so we officially launched it on Wednesday of last week. And
yeah.
I would say we know of a handful that are in the will be signed up in the next few days. But we're looking for a total of 10 to 15 for each cohort.
Okay, so 10 to 15 is the ideal.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a cap, or if?
Yeah, I think we'll cap it. So in the application, you have the option to select all the different cohorts that work for you. So if the first one you select is filled up, then we would let you know that we'll put you in for the next one. But we just want to make sure there's really that personal interaction and the ability to focus on what your the specific needs of the business or nonprofit
participants,
and give them
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
We want to make sure that collaboration is possible. And I think by having those smaller discussions, it's what leads to the magic of the program. By having it be so focused on what everybody's doing and hearing from each other weekly about what you're learning and what you're applying, it results in some really interesting conversations and figuring out how to apply additional resources and research to support your project development.
Yeah, and to have the individual businesses have time to have their own questions answered.
And our support team to be there for you to get that project off the ground. So think of it in, that way as well, that we are a support team for your project development.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. I have my email up, my email address and phone number. That just redirects to my cell phone, so feel free to call it. And I'm happy to answer any more questions. We can set up a call to talk more specifics about what you're interested in and make sure Scale Up's a good fit. And I also have the link on here for our other sustainability programs. So if you want to explore more about the Southern Arizona Green Business Alliance or the Green Certification Program up in the Phoenix area, feel free to click around. Also, feel free to set up a call with our sustainability team. We're always here to answer questions. We love supporting businesses that are doing cool green things and want to do good for the community. That's what we're all about.
Thank you all for your time today and for your interest in exploring this program. Really appreciate it.